sending angels into my life.
I like the idea that there's two big, huge angels, like, just escorting her into this restaurant because she feels frightened.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I obviously don't know her backstory and what's happened to her before that, but it sounds like she's had some pretty terrible experiences in her past that she could really use the protection and the peace of mind that comes now with a couple of angels walking around with her.
For sure.
Yeah. So it was a nice story.
Yeah. Different take on guardian angels.
Yes.
Yeah.
Much different take. And then I have this last one.
Okay.
And so this is actually, it's kind of a sad one. It's a mother and father who their son is lost. He's a police officer and he's killed in the line of duty.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah. And so the angel encounter that they have is actually with their son after the fact. But this, Amelia, you'll be very happy about this, comes with a bonus near-death experience.
Nice.
All right. So this one's kind of long, but we'll see you back here in a couple of minutes.
As a kid, Eric Zimmerman was the true definition of an all-American boy. He was good in school, great in sports, and had a genuine love of helping others. It seemed only natural when he decided to become a police officer.
And he says, well, I know kind of what I want to be. I know Dad won't want me to be it. And it was a policeman. I want to be of service to people. I want to help people.
Eric's parents, Fred and Marilyn, had their fears, but they gave their blessings as Eric attended the Ohio State Highway Patrol Academy. One evening in November of 1997, 2 weeks before graduation, Eric came home to have dinner with his family. It was a night that would begin an extraordinary sequence of events, making the Zimmermans question everything they knew about life and beyond.
I always walked him to the front door and stood on the step because he was 6'5" and give him a kiss. And then his dad would walk him out to the car, and, male bonding stuff.
And as we were talking, he was standing facing me with his back to the streetlight. And all of a sudden, it looked like there was a halo around his head. And every sound cut off, and a voice told me telepathically, Eric is going to die. Be prepared.
It was a moment of dread for Eric's father, not only because the voice was crystal clear, but because Fred had heard one like it before.
I had a near-death experience when I was 22 years of age. I was swimming across Lake Mohawk in Tiffin, Ohio with two of my buddies. And all of a sudden, I started to sink underwater. The next thing I recall, I was watching this body about 6 to 8 foot in front of me. Arms are going like propellers, feet are going like crazy, head is jerking back and forth, and I suddenly realized that that was myself. I heard a voice tell me through my right ear, say, Fred, this is not your time to die.
Fred was rescued that day by one of his friends, but the haunting echo of that spiritual voice would linger in the back of his mind. Now, almost 30 years later, the warning about Eric was too powerful to ignore.
I got my composure, and I said to Eric, I've had a terrible feeling something's going to happen. I said, you got to be careful.
Eric assured his parents that he would be careful. 2 weeks later, he graduated from the Highway Patrol Academy with highest honors. Fred heard nothing more from the voice.
So he felt that that was just something that had happened, that it had passed.
Fred and Marilyn allowed themselves a measure of comfort. They left for a week's vacation in Jamaica, not wanting to give the matter another thought. But on the final night of their trip, it was Marilyn's turn to have a mysterious episode.
We were on vacation, and I woke up out of a dead sleep and jumped out of bed and ran around the bed and said, I have to know what time it is. I have to know what time it is.
I looked at the watch, and I said, Marilyn, it's 2:05. We have to get some sleep because we're leaving in the morning at 7 o'clock.
And as soon as he said that, I just felt a calm, and I said, okay, that's what I had to know. And he said, you okay? And I said, fine, went back to bed.
By morning, the bizarre moment was forgotten. The Zimmermans flew home and called their youngest son, Scott, as they left the airport. It was a phone call that would tear their world apart.
You could tell he was upset. He kept asking, what time are you going to be home? How long is it going to take you to get here? And then the cell phone cut out. And I looked at my husband and I said, something's wrong. Scott never asked that. And he said, call Eric. Eric would know what happened. And called his phone number, and his roommate answered. And I said, this is Mrs. M. can I speak with Eric? And I could just hear him, his voice hesitating. He said, Mrs. Zim, there was a terrible accident last night and Eric's dead.
The news was devastating. A wave of despair hit Fred and Marilyn, who were suddenly facing every parent's worst nightmare. At that very moment, another sensation came over Marilyn, as unexpected as the tragic news itself.
Marilyn yelled, pull off the road, pull off the road. She looked over at her shoulder, and she looked back at me and said, Eric is here.
I felt this pinch on my neck, and I heard him say, I'm sorry, Mom, I'm sorry. So as Fred's pulling across the road, I said, don't you hear Eric? Don't you hear his voice? He just said, I'm sorry, Mom, I'm sorry. And he said, no. And I said, well, I feel that he's right here now. He's with us.
Was Eric, in fact, trying to contact them? If so, his spirit disappeared as quickly as it had arrived. When the shock of the moment passed and the tears subsided, the Zimmermans went to the police station to find out what had happened.
From what we understand, Eric was driving home back to his place, and as he approached a curve, a vehicle came the other way. He swerved left. His car hit a tree.
The police report said that Eric was listed as dead at 2:05 in the morning. And Fred and I just looked at each other and said, oh, my God, that's when I woke up. That's when I ran around the bed and wanted to know what time it was.
As the strange events mounted, Fred and Marilyn both felt that someone or something had been trying to prepare them for this tragedy. Yet they also felt powerless to have prevented it.
So I just could not believe that I had that warning and that it came true. And there was nothing, absolutely nothing that I could have done about it.
For weeks afterward, Fred and Marilyn mourned the loss of their son. It was almost impossible to let go. They longed for one last hug, one final farewell.
We took his leather jacket, which he had gotten the Christmas before, and his police uniform, and we laid it in the middle of our bed. And every night when you went to bed, you just prayed to God that he was okay, and then you cry.
For a month and a half, they grieved. Then, one February morning, they experienced a phenomenon that defied all human logic.
One morning I got up, and Marilyn was in the bathroom. I heard Marilyn shut off the hairdryer, which means it's my signal to go shave and clean up and get ready for work. I get up off that bed. I took 3 steps, and on my 3rd step, I got a squeeze, a hug, so hard it stopped me in my tracks. The very second that squeeze occurred, just like this, Eric appears right in front of me.
And Eric put his arms around him and was hugging him. He hugged him back. He brushed his face against his side of his face. He felt his whiskers.
He started moving, but he wasn't walking, just moving and pushing. As I started going backward, Eric turned his head, looked at me, and told me, Dad, I love you. Hesitated, Mom, I love you.
Marilyn emerged from the bathroom to find her husband in tears.
He was leaning back on the bed and he was crying and he said, Eric was here. Eric was here and he just came through, gave me a hug.
There's no way in the world I could get the feeling of the amount of love I felt when Eric was here. He brought that love with him.
The incredible experience lifted both Fred and Marilyn's spirits. They were convinced that Eric was trying to communicate with them, and they had to know what an incident like this might mean.
It's a lovely story. I mean,
That is a lovely story.
It's terrible to have lost a child, but to be able to have made that connection with him afterwards, and
Yeah, it sounds like they got some closure from it.
yeah, to have that chance to say goodbye.
Yeah, that's really lovely.
I think that it's something that any parent anywhere that has to go through the horror of losing a child would do anything to have that experience right there.
Oh, for sure.
And I'm pretty sure that most people who lose a parent would also
You
just
lose
like that.
anyone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one more chance to say goodbye.
So what do we think?
I think that angel stories are heartwarming,
Yeah, it's nice.
and they can come in many, many different forms.
Yeah.
Some are people, some you can see, some other people can see, some give you a hug.
Yeah.
I feel like angels come and they take care of you the way that you need to be taken care of in the moment.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So that's about it for my angel story.
Good bonus episode, Beth.
Likewise.
Thanks. Well, you came up with this one.
Well, it was actually my friend Nathania's idea. She wanted to know if we ever did an episode on angels.
Well, Thanks, Nathaniel.
Yeah.
You want contact info us out?
Sure.
All right. Did you have more you wanted to say?
Well, I was just going to mention that this will be my last episode for a while. I'm leaving you in good hands with Amelia, and you should enjoy your ghost hunting with her as she keeps it up through the winter. So, if you want to reach Amelia in the next couple of months, you can get her on Instagram, Ghost Hunting in New England. You can get her on Facebook, facebook.com/Ghost Hunting in New England. You can get her on Twitter, Ghost Hunting NE. You can email her, ghosthuntinginnewengland@gmail.com. You can check out the website, www.ghosthuntinginnewengland.com, where you can sign up for weekly emails when the podcast is available and any other interesting information she puts out on the website.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah, the website hasn't been updated in a couple of weeks.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
You can send her a carrier pigeon at the Somerville Media Center in beautiful Somerville, Massachusetts. I feel like I'm missing something.
Thank you to Aaron Shield for the music.
Oh, as always, thank you to Aaron Schilb for the music. Hope everybody had a great Halloween. Happy hunting.